and this is not meant to be rude, Alan, but we come as a duo. We come as Alan and Emily. We are Yellow Tuxedo. And I found actually having that opportunity to be just Emily for 10 days, that was really great. And finding what's something that really I could focus on for my well-being, for my conversations, for what fills my cup, that was really, really, really great.
Yes, that's right. This week we are talking to Emily, the better half of Yellow Tuxedo, the mouth to my trousers. Oh no, that's the other way round. We can't wait. Emily is not only my wife and my business partner, but she's my best friend. And it was an absolute privilege sitting down with her for a bit of time and chatting about her recent 12-day adventure to Malawi. She was on a women's partnership in business trip and has come back with some fascinating stuff. I'm trying to tell you now, but we're going to share it all in a moment. Before we get going, I want to say, hola, ¿cómo estás? We know some of you are in Mexico listening, so we thought we'd say hi. Please do say hi back. And we'd like to invite you to come and join the Yellow Tuxedo email list. We share out lots of small business shenanigans, community news, what we're up to, and lots of helpful stuff to get your business growing online. Please also feel free to subscribe to this podcast. All right, take it easy and let's get going. Bye. Emily, we know you had a fab trip to Malawi, take 10. We've seen pictures about it. We've seen a few write-ups on social media about it, but I thought basically, we'd take this opportunity to kind of explore it a bit more. We know a lot of people have been interested in it, and I won't say that bit, you can say that bit, and there's some fantastic news that's come off the back of it. But as always, with the Digital Circus Live podcast, we have to start at the beginning. And the beginning is slightly different, but pretty much the same. What were you trying to achieve on your expedition to Malawi?
So firstly, before we go into that question, I'm laughing because this is take 10 of trying to get this introduction done. And it just proves again that in any other situation, when you're recording with guests, it's a one-take wonder.
It is one
go with
take.
It, and whatever happens, happens. And when you're trying to do something for yourself, you always scrutinise how you say things. So,
I know.
Thank you.
Well, I mispronounced about 10 words about 20 times. So.
But thank you for the question. And I love the fact that we're going in with a proper Digital Circus lifestyle intro. So what was I trying to achieve? So there are two things really. One on, I suppose the cliche is I wanted to do something purposeful. I really wanted to go and take a trip that was going to make a difference. And I feel that we did that. And I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. But selfishly, doing something for myself that I haven't done for a long, long time. And, you were laughing beforehand with the whole Joey Tribbiani thing of no such thing as a selfless act. Well, there isn't. And actually, I got a lot out of helping other people in Africa. At the same time, it filled my cup massively for personal reasons as well.
Yeah, and you know what? We talk about no such thing as a truly selfless act at all. Right, first of all, we don't always do this, but if you can come up with a truly selfless act, please do DM us, email us, write it in the comments, whatever, because we Emily and I actually talk about that quite a lot because I find it very difficult to do it. But it's not about me, it's about Emily. So I think they're both great things. I think it's okay to want to fill our cups. I think it's okay to want to do something purposeful. So I have kind of alluded to what it is in the intro, but just kind of run through what was the trip again.
So I was very fortunate to have a very random conversation at the beginning part of this year, sort of March time, with a lady called Kate Webb from Orbis Expeditions. And she was looking for a leader to take a group of 10 women to Malawi in September, which I did, with a whole kind of ethos of travel, purpose and adventure. And I've been to Malawi before. I was very fortunate enough to go in 2009 in a very different kind of guise. I went along with the Scouts. Obviously, we're both Scouts. We talk about that quite a lot. I was a young 20-something, taking a bunch of teenagers out there and had a very different experience. But I really, 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 really fell in love with that country. It was an incredible 6 weeks out there. This time round, it was about trying to use my business skills a little bit more. So the way in which the trip was formatted was to have the purpose element. So we went along with an amazing team of completely different skilled women to go and do some skill sharing workshops with women in business in Malawi. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, of what that actually entailed. There was some opportunity at a school, and again, in terms of education and the ripple effect of sending, especially girls, to school in Malawi is incredible in terms of preventing teenage pregnancy and allowing the economy to kind of thrive in different ways. And so there was a lot we did in terms of that, in that aspect of teaching and skill sharing and development. Part of it was about adventure. So we had the opportunity to climb Mount Malanje, which is the tallest peak in Malawi.
Cue explosions, obviously.
Which, I'm not going to lie, it hurt. I did that in 2009, and I thought, I was a spring chicken. And then this day I got a bit arthritic in my knees, and it was like, it hurt. We did some safari. But the other part of it, in terms of the travel, was the fact that Malawi isn't really known as a destination for holidays. It's not really on the map for that, but it is absolutely stunning.
That is true, because you hear places like Gambia and Kenya and Tanzania because of Kilimanjaro quite a lot, but you don't really hear about Malawi as much.
No, and it really is. And again, you think of somewhere like, and I used this example the other day to my sister-in-law Susie. You go on a holiday to the Maldives or to the Seychelles or somewhere exotic like that, and actually 10 feet out of any of those resorts, you are in extreme poverty as well. So Malawi is just the same. There are some stunning tourism spots. We had some opportunity to be obviously at safari in a camp called Mavu, and we went to a lovely retreat on one of the islands called Blue Zebra Retreat. And it was really quite difficult. And actually part of the challenge we had as a team was that we were looking at these places, and they were showcasing some of the most beautiful spots and the most beautiful lodges and accommodation that we were staying in. And we were treated so well as tourists, was that there was that juxtaposition between extreme poverty and then extreme luxury as well, but with the view of us coming home to be able to say, do you know what, Malawi definitely is a destination, and it is a rising destination, and it should definitely be on your top list of places to visit before you die.
Okay, right. So that's everything. So now we need to jump around, because that's in. So first of all, I like doing this. I like getting facts. You know that a lot. And that's why I'm slightly pedanty, because I like actual facts. So yeah, Malawi is one of the world's least developed countries. I say fact, it's on Wikipedia, which is regarded.
You could just ask me some of those facts. I do say that.
No, I know. But I was reading about your belief system in Stephen Bartlett's 33 Laws this morning. So anyway, that's the point. But I have to say, one of the stories I thought you were going to share, which is when you talked about back at the beginning of the year, was how you got this. Because I think that's also a super important part. Now, we have to factor in, we've done scouts and expeditions and adventures all our life. So you were able to do this type of trip. This wasn't say yes and work out how later, because I think that's dangerous.
I have the skill set, and it's something actually, leadership and that kind of sense of adventure is something that drew us together in the first place when we first started dating, and we first got realizing that we were in love, we were going to spend our lives together. And that's always been like the core of everything we've wanted to do and what we aspire to do, and what our end goal is kind of.
Just want to go on adventures. That's pretty much it. We just want to go on adventures. And
not going to lie, it's been obviously we've had quite a challenging few years. Not going to go into the ins and outs of that, but obviously with last year, with our daughter being very poorly and the long.
I'm not going to go into it, but
yeah, we've had some challenge, and we've kind of lost sight, and we've had a lot of focus on the business and COVID and closures and all of the stuff that happens in life, and I feel a little bit like we'd lost our way a little bit of what our core focus is, which is adventure and having fun and saying yes to everything. And that's something we've always said, was that these opportunities come up, just say yes to it, and again, work out how to do it later.
Is it wrong that when you say yes to everything, all I want to do is meatloafs, but I won't do that? Insert whatever that is in your life.
So very randomly, there was a post on LinkedIn at the beginning of this year, and I was tagged by Beverly Paul. Thank you very much,
Paul. You know the rules. If we say them, we can tag them.
Who suggested that Kate might want to speak to me about this opportunity. And very randomly, we had a very quick WhatsApp call. and a conversation about what it entailed, what my history was, what I've done in the past, some of my experiences. And we just said yes. And again, we've never met Kate in person. We built a relationship quite quickly.
And you've still not met. That's really important, I always think, in our human connection in a digital world.
And for me, it was really quite a scary thing because Kate is incredible. So she and her now ex-husband, Dom, founded the company after the fact that they lived in Malawi for 15 years. And she's very much about sustainable tourism. She's all very much about trade, not aid. She's very much about really showcasing Malawi in the best way possible. And that's her baby. And now I recognise that with us having our businesses, it's a big thing, and you nurture and you look after your baby, your business, and then to hand it to someone to go, and I'm leaving this to you, can you please run this? Because this was one of the first expeditions that had been run without Kate or one of Kate's team members spearheading it. So that was a big responsibility, and actually going, am I going to do the right thing? Is it going to meet their expectations? Am I going to be a good leader? And now I am a good leader, and that's kind of not blowing my own trumpet.
I am a good leader.
I think I am a good leader.
Never dismiss confidence.
But you do kind of still have that concern about, is it what they want, and is it going to be the right fit? Luckily it was, and you were very supportive, very in the early days, because I was a bit concerned because it would have been the first time that I would have left Lydia Rose since her hospital stay last year to a place that's not just popping over to Spain.
You didn't have phone. There was no. It's not that you didn't have phone signal because of it's Malawi. You didn't have phone signal because you were in remote areas. The same as in the UK. If you're in remote areas.
I was not an hour and a half, 2 hours to Spain. I was deep as dark, like sub-Saharan Africa there on 2 flights on Ethiopian Airlines. It wasn't exactly a quick, okay, I'll pop home now. It was a big thing to go. It
was a big thing, actually. And it really was a big thing for you to go. But one of my favourite Africa facts that people don't factor in is it's pretty much the same time zone because it's straight down. So a lot of people often go, oh, really? Oh, of course it is. And that does help a little bit when just at least trying to communicate when we could. But that was fab. Look, I love that story that you got tagged in a post on LinkedIn. I think it's really, really cool, and it's right up yellow Tuxedo Street about our 5th pillar is opportunity.
Yeah.
Just that's what we're big on, and these opportunities come when you're not planning for them. So, right, a couple of things that were really stuck with me from your trip to Malawi when you were talking about it, and the first one was actually you just talked about this, Kate, trade not aid. That's so important, isn't it? Because in the UK we're built up on let's raise money and send it to Africa. You got Band Aid, Live Aid. People of our generation have been brought up going, we need to raise money and send it to Africa, right? It's obviously not as prevalent nowadays, but it's still, that is built in us. So a trade not aid mentality is far different. And I think that leads nicely onto the conversation about the partnership. And these words are specifically chosen, right? Yeah. The partnership with the women in business in Malawi. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yes.
Deep dive some of the stories.
Deep dive. One of the things
I've never been so businessy.
I mean, Alan was kind of giving me a little bit of stats about, Malawi being one of the poorest countries in the world. But one of the biggest stats for me that really resonated was that it has a 91% unemployment rate. And 91% of the country are unemployed. So the fact that we were going along and we were working with not just business owners, but women in business was a huge opportunity there. Going back to that whole ripple effect. So, you impact one woman who was making a difference. And actually, from my perspective, as a second time round in that country. So first time I was in my 20s, I wasn't yet married, didn't have children, and I was there for adventure and just to have fun and to see something new. This time round, I was coming in not only as a business owner, but I was coming in with my mummy head as well. And for a woman with myself having 3 children and understanding the challenges in the UK, and let's say in our privileged lifestyle here, with our Wi-Fi and our roof over our heads, and
we don't normally use the word privilege, although very relevant. But when you go to Africa and come back, it does all sort of, and that's not mud hut Africa. No, that's not what we're talking about. It's just different.
We had 15 women in the room with us who were all, firstly, standing out because they were choosing to make a difference for their families. And most of them were mothers. Some of them were single mothers. Some of them were, still living in extreme poverty, but some of them had amazing aspirations, more so in terms of a community aspect for wanting to do the greater good for their community. So they already had that mindset of wanting to be better than what they were currently doing, and they wanted to have that legacy, and they wanted to make a difference. So that was half the battle was done, because they had that. And it is that kind of fight or flight mentality, and especially as a mother, when you want to be able to provide for your children. And again, this is one of the women we were working with. Part of all, but she's for all intents and purposes a foster mum, and she had 45 children that she was looking after, as well as doing a full-time job in the country. And her main goal was to be able to provide 3 meals: porridge, seema, and porridge for dinner for 45 children in the local community that she was basically picking off the street because they were sitting on the curb without any sort of support. And these are 3, 4, 5, even younger children there sitting there without that support mechanism around them. So these women are so ingrained in the community and wanting to support the whole family, not just their direct family, that the whole community is their family. So when we came in, I mean, it's very difficult to come in and say, we're going to do some skill sharing now, we're going to upskill you to this level in 2 days, and that's it, we're solving world peace. That's not what we could do in that day. But it was a... But we went in, and the beauty was we had 10 women on from our team, and we had... obviously myself with online visibility, we had a web designer, we had an accountant, we had an HR manager, we had an architect, a quantity surveyor, I've got to make an NLP practitioner, an energy healer.
You did, I don't know, but you did have an amazing...
Becky, business coach.
I was about to say, did you mention Becky? But you had an amazing... We're going to come to the team after the women in business bit, but you had an amazing... diverse range of skills that went out. It was when Emily was listing it off, it was fantastic.
And that was, I think, part of why it was such a dream team. And I was very fortunate to have such a dream team, because it made leading...
Hold on the team and leadership.
Yeah, but it did make leading a team really easy when you've got so many amazing people doing amazing things in their businesses to come out with you. So we delivered 4 workshops. One was on stress management. And again, that's something that we felt very passionate about, because before we went out to the country, there was a lot of pre-work and a lot of conversations. And we were lucky enough to have the list of attendees coming along to get to know what their businesses were beforehand. So we could kind of start to tailor what we were teaching to make sure that it was the right fit for the right group. There was a lot, and again, a lot of stigma, especially in terms of mental health in Malawi. People don't have the same conversations that we, again, in the UK would probably be having. It's very much a lack of trust, a lack of empathy there sometimes, in terms of not wanting to share and not wanting to feel that they're losing face there, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that which becomes very insular and not even recognising what stress is. So the team that delivered the stress management was incredible. We started that entire 2 days off with that particular workshop, just to kind of break down some barriers, to understand that we all feel the same things, to understand that it's healthy to share. And actually, if you are in a position where you can't share, some self-management techniques so you can start to be a better version of yourself. So that was incredible. There were tears. And I'm a bit of a stone face. You know I'm a stone face.
Yeah, I'm the blubber. I'm the loudmouth blubber, and you're the quiet stone heart.
I think, again, because of so much that gets held in that space as well, and for me as well, from a leader perspective, I have those stresses as well. I was responsible for my well-being. I was responsible for 10 others on the team well-being. I was responsible for making sure that we were delivering a quality service in terms of the logistics on the ground, making sure that the Malawian women were having the best opportunity. I was stressed about the fact that I was a mum leaving my children at home with Alan.
You don't get stressed very easily either, do you?
Well, I do. But
no, I don't. Sorry, that was an absolute me being a donut. I apologise for that.
I kind of go, usually, if we're going to dive into that, I'm a bit of I internalise, get a little bit stressed with that, and then I just do. I'm a doer, so I get kind of consumed with the doing.
You missed the blowing up part in between. No, all right. No, I won't do it again. Apologies to the world and universe and Emily. Okay.
So that was that. And then we did a second workshop, which was based around a brand, personal brand, and not in the sense of what we teach a lot of the Yellow Tuxedo, because again, it was knowing the room and things like limited access to internet, how they market their businesses. So a lot of the way marketing happens in Malawi is WhatsApp groups and WhatsApp chat and printed media, like posters on the walls and word of mouth. In terms of social media, there is social media, but not everyone has access to the internet. And again, that was something we had to consider when we were doing our pre-work and what we could teach, was that actually it's not necessarily about the the technical side of showing up online and social media strategy and brand strategy, but understanding, especially as the workshops flowed, about how your brand, your personal brand, how you present yourself, your conversations, in your elevator pitches, all of that helps you, especially when you're looking for funding. And again, that kind of led into our third workshop, which is about proposal writing. And again, trying to find those opportunities for fundraising, for investors, for growth, and having, these women had incredible businesses, but the growth was not happening, and that expansion plan, or that getting past a certain ceiling was not happening. So looking at how you formulate a proposal, how you really extract what your core value is, how you talk about that, how you present that was a really, really, really amazing workshop, which then led into the final workshop, which was about pitching. Now that was fascinating for me because I actually recorded every single one. I might share some of those online at a later date. But when we first met everybody, we sat in the room. Everyone had an opportunity to talk about who they were, what they did, and what their business was. And they Malawians like to talk. I mean, I like to talk as well. But those pitches became 5-10 minute kind of epics because they were telling you every last bit of information because they wanted to share, and it was fabulous. It was really, really great, but it was kind of diluted because there was so much in there that we didn't quite always understand what they were trying to do, what their growth plans were, what the long-term goal was. So by the end of those 2 days, when we then worked through their brand, their tone of voice, their proposals, what they're trying to aim for, what their pitch was, these incredibly eloquent, like 60 seconds, 2 minute kind of who I am. And they were so impactful. I was so proud of that. Even just 2 days, the transformation from start to finish, and you could see where they were going to go next with it. And it was that wanting more. And I really could have stayed for the entire 10 days just doing that alone, because you could see so much in just a snapshot of time. And what I'm really looking forward to is that Orbis run these events every or twice a year. It's that continuation for when the next group go out, and how we can kind of grasp onto what we've done this time around and continue that through to the next.
Because that's really important, isn't it? And that's a thing across life. It's all very well learning something, but what if you are able to, what are you going to do with what you've learned? Yeah. So that growth, or that I think continuation, I prefer to the word growth, continues. Hold on, I've got a question. So you were saying this was a partnership. Yeah. So what did you learn? What have you come back with? For yourself or Yellow Tuxedo?
So much. I couldn't even articulate it all in just a half an hour podcast. But, there are two parts of it. Not only was it about from on the ground with those women and the children and the teachers in the school that we were working with, and the guides on the ground when we were in Malawi, on Malawi, all of those aspects of being on the ground. I learned so much about understanding what I already have, being grateful for what I have. More of a simplistic life is probably more desirable, actually. And we feel this need, and we were discussing this just the other day, actually, Adam, in terms of we want it to be the very best for our children. We were talking about Halloween, weren't we?
Yeah.
And how Halloween...
Parent guilt and anxiety.
We have this parent guilt of actually trying to make Halloween the best it could possibly be. And we're
not particularly bothered by it, other than eating chocolate.
But also, it doesn't need to be, because the values and the not the values, the important things are being together, having freedom of conversation, being able to have experiences together, to be able to have a house over, a roof over our head, and all that kind of stuff. That is just generally the most important thing. Second thing was, you don't need your Wi-Fi all the time, and that was really liberating. Having not a complete digital detox, because we were very fortunate to have Wi-Fi throughout the trip in various spots, but not having to check my phone every 2 seconds and be able to be in the moment and listening. And we've said lots about in-person versus online events over the years, but actually it was so brilliant to be in a room, and that energy feeling was and that really helped boost me.
We did both underestimate the desire to move back to in-person. We've talked about that, didn't we? Yeah.
Thirdly, I learned, and this is not meant to be rude, Alan, but we come as a duo. We come as Alan and Emily. We are Yellow Tuxedo, and I found actually having that opportunity to be just Emily for 10 days, that was really great, and finding something that really I could focus on for my well-being, for my conversations, for what fills my cup. That was really, really, really great, because I think I came home lot more energized.
So for about 10 seconds until reality, normality, mundanity all kicked in.
I think I have lost focus over the last couple of years, really, of what I value, what I need, having the opportunity to use my leadership skills again and to make that the very best. And that's something I've always wanted to do, is to kind of, whatever I do, whatever we do, is trying to make it for the best for everyone, that those experiences are top dollar and that other people are having a good time. That's always been at the centre of what we've done.
Now, we pretty much never plan anything, but we may as well have planned that, because you have naturally segued into, I wanted to talk about the team in the leadership part. I think the trip's amazing, the expeditions made it amazing. I loved hearing about the women when you were telling me, and every time you talk about them and their pitches, you light up, and you lit up so much. And so have some of the others members who we'll mention them all in a minute. There's no reason why we've not mentioned any names. Just one of those things. Everyone's lit up when they saw that progression within the meeting. But the bit was also fantastic to hear you about, but doesn't happen very often, is you went, every single member of the team was amazing. We all pulled together. I loved being the leader. And you had such I've said amazing about 10 times.
It's true though, it was.
We've had such a fabulous, there you go, that's our word, isn't it? You had such a fabulous team element to your trip, as well as obviously team, and the feedback so far is that you've talked about Emily coming out a bit more, was that you as a leader were brilliant as well. No, I don't mean, I didn't know how to say
everybody,
that.
I'm brilliant.
No, I didn't know how to say that. But can I give a sign? Like, Emily and I do this sort of stuff. So we've done leadership stuff since a very young age. Now, from about sort of early teenagers, we've led stuff in scouting and kind of worked and developed those skills. So it was quite nice to go back to them, wasn't it? Let's talk about the team, and specifically, if possible, the story about. Not that it's relevant. It is relevant, actually. The story about when you were doing the overnighter on the mountain. I just loved when you were talking about that.
So I feel very, very, very lucky that my leadership role on this team was so damn easy, mainly because of the people that I took with me on this trip. And I don't know if that was, because of really good planning in terms of having a good selection of people on that team, or just the fact that we really, really gelled so quickly. And that was unexpected for me. And I've joked about this a few times on social media, and I've had conversations about it since coming home. I'm not a very fempreneur type of individual. That's kind of, I've said it many times. It's not really kind of my bag. I find I've got probably more of a masculine energy. I like to be around male company. I find the conversations easier. I'm not really a kind of girly, let's talk about our feelings very much type of girl. I was so wrong because, you go out with 10, or there's 10 of us going out with this team. And my expectation was probably like there will be some element of friction at some point. There might be some element of bitchiness, hormones, people having different values and views, and that there was going to be something. But I can categorically say there was not one time in that entire 12 days including travel, 12 days, not one time where anyone felt they need to retreat to their rooms, to not have conversations. If someone was feeling ill, because we were taking malaria tablets, we had at some point a dodgy tummy, or we're traveling, or feeling
and malaria
homesick.
tablets can mess you up. Fact, if you know, you know.
Oh my goodness! Like the idea of malaria tablets is to stop malaria, but in the interim, you are feeling the effects of what malaria.
Malaria can be malaria. I can't talk again. I was about to say jokingly, malaria could be a better option sometimes, but clearly not. Clearly not.
But everyone picked each other up, and like the likes of us good teammate Samantha, what do you need? I've got like a medical bag the size of Timbuktu here. What can I get out of my bag to make you feel? So everyone just dipped in, and it really helps when you have got doers. And again, I don't know whether that was because part of my responsibility for being part of Orbis and a leader for the team was that I had to help secure those spots. So I had to fill those spots for people to come along. So whether there's an element of attraction there in terms of who resonates with me and my style and my personality, because again, I appreciate I'm Marmite too. We attracted such a kick-ass group of women who all had such diverse skills. And you don't know them. They're complete strangers. Majority of them were strangers. We hadn't met in person before. But a couple of I hadn't known previously, but the majority of them they were strangers. So you're going along not knowing everyone's mindset, everyone's fitness levels, everyone's tolerance levels, everyone's expectations. Do they want to live in 5-star luxury? Are they okay to go rough it on the ground? And one of them, I said, this is the story that Alan was alluding to. So we did our hike on Mount Malawi. Now it is a tricky climb. Anyone could hear that. This is parenting.
This is Saturday morning, and we snuck away from the kids, but now one's put an announcement out on Alexa.
So we did Mount Malawi, and again, that's a tricky climb, and I am not as fit as I used to be, and that was totally okay. And one of the brilliant things was that we recognised very early on that we had 2 camps in terms of fast and slow, and nobody cared if they were in either or group, and we allowed each other to do what we needed to do to get the job done, which was great. Because again, sometimes when you're in as a big pack and you've got a very fast person at the front and you've got a very slow person at the back, it can cause upset because the fast person wants to be going further, the back person's feeling guilty for slowing everyone down. None of that happened. We actually got to the top of the plateau at record time for our lot. We were there about 1:30. We all got to share lunch together. We all got to have a gin and tonic on the top of the mountain, which was pretty cool. Yes, we smuggled gin in our bag. Felt quite guilty that the porters were carrying our bags, but there was gin and tonic for us at the top. See, details, they're important. We got there and it was rough, and we had been informed several times by Kate in our pre-meetings about the fact that, guys, just so you know, it's going to be really basic. It's going to be really basic. You're going to have like a wooden shack. There's going to be a drop hole for a toilet. You're going to have really, really thin, if anything, kind of material like mats in between you. And they were really trying to...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Drop hole toilets in Africa, that smell never leaves
you.
Never leaves you. Right. So once again, I don't wish to do an in-comment or an alienate anyone, but if you've been to Africa and used a drop hole, you know that smell.
You always want to be the very first person in the morning.
In the morning before the flies get in.
You want to be the first one to go and do your business and get on again, because if you're doing that at 4:00 in the afternoon,
that smell does not leave you.
No,
I apologise.
Anyway,
Yes.
But there was that... And it kept getting drummed into us, and I was like, "Hey, why going on about it?" Because this is again with that whole sort of adventure side of what we've done. We've always roughed it. But it was that you don't know what the rest of your team need and require, and previous teams had maybe had different expectations of what they were going to see. But we got there, everyone was really happy, and I looked at it and it was a really clear sky. It was a full moon, which was a lovely feeling actually, because I had contacted Alan previously and the kids were watching the full moon in England and I was looking at the full moon in Africa going, we're sharing the same moon.
Yes, it was.
Sharing the same moon,
it was
just
unbelievable.
different hemispheres. It was bizarre. I was looking at different stars.
And your stars were upside down to our stars, which blew our mind, and we still can't work out how, even though we read this and everyone tells us, I just can't get my head around that stuff happens.
But I looked at it going, this is amazing. It was a nice temperature. It wasn't too cold. I went to one of the guides, is it safe to sleep outside? I really fancied just like having some time outside just to connect. And when else are you going to get the opportunity to do so? I said, could I drown? And they're like, yeah, totally safe. There are no wild animals that you need to be worried of at this elevation. Please feel free. Off you go. So I kind of just thought I'd go and do that by myself. And then within 10 minutes, I looked around going, oh, I'm not alone. And all 10 of us had gone from inside the cabin to outside and dragged it and going, well, this is a shared experience again. And we went to bed.
I was literally about to say teams are built on shared experiences and that's a shared experience.
And that's probably some of just that as an example of the things I will take away from this trip, on top of the stuff that we did with the local community and both the women and the school and everything we did in that respect. Was these shared experiences of these random things that we did that no one else will ever truly comprehend what we did together, because it was so unique to our team. So we got to the top of the mountain. We had this kind of camp out together. There was a full moon. It was like, you couldn't write it. It was just most epic thing ever. We had a campfire together. We'd all sat around the campfire with with our guides and our porters and having chit chat around the fire. That was amazing. But one of our team members, Laura, who's an accountant by trade, she works in finance management. She's got a love of yoga. So she went, I'm a bit achy from this like massive trek we've done today, and it really, really hurt. So I'm going to do a little gentle stretch down. Would you like to join me? And we're like, yeah, okay. So then there's all of us on this cabin doing yoga on the plateau in Mount Malawi. This is random, but it was so cool.
Right. Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
But we dropped Becky. Hi, Becky. We dropped Becky back at home, didn't we? And I remember she was in the front and I was driving. And I remember going, "Oh, Becky, give us three of your highlights, not your favorite things, but three things that stuck out. And by the time that conversation had gone, everything was either people or an outside, and that's very important, an outside experience, and that was a real takeaway, I think, like a refreshing reminder, even for me and you who like to do this sort of stuff. It really is about people and experiences and outside as well. So
it was. And I came home with 9 new really good friends. All of them I would say are friends. Oh, yeah, it is. But we had
Malawi friends.
But they shared not only that, and if you're putting a business spin on it, we all have very different careers. And actually, when you're looking at networking, and we've talked about networking lots with our work stuff recently, is that you're looking for those connections. You're looking for people who are going to connect you to other people, or if you're looking for an accountant or a business coach. I now have 9 people that I will go to without a shadow of doubt anytime I need one of those services or to have referrals to. So that was exciting. And
Stephen Bartlett bucket 3, just so you know.
But no one else will understand. And I've alluded to this in some of my socials as well. Nearly died via a crocodile. That truly did happen-ish. Never let the truth get away with story.
Never let the truth get away with
the laughter and excitement in that boat when that thing happened. Again, I can't ever truly articulate to anyone outside of that group there, like those little things that had no bearing on the purpose of the trip, these were strangers to me 9 months ago. They're just going to lasting memories. So to give you a little bit of the crocodile thing.
Oh, okay. Then I'm going to the last question.
Okay. Crocodile thing. We were very fortunate to go to Luwandi National Park, and it was like, they timed it perfectly. We had to get on a boat to get across to Mavu Camp. We arrived about lunchtime-ish, and as we arrived with the bus and got to step on the boat, you could see all the elephants coming across the water. Like, did they time it well? Did they prime them? Thank you very much. There were hippos in the water. It was amazing. Excuse me. And then we had a game drive in the afternoon, a sunset game drive, which was incredible. Again, we saw lions. I was so excited to see lions because I'd never seen lions on my previous trip because they had migrated away from Malawi in 2009. So they'd been working to get lions back into the game park, which was amazing. On the second day, we did a boat safari, and we had a guy called Patrick who was our guide, and we spent 2 hours on the water, and we went right up to some hippos, and we saw impala, and we saw waterbuck, and we saw everything you'd want to see on safari. We were very, very fortunate to see. And then we saw a crocodile, because it's a crocodile infested waters. Great, you never want to go for a swim there. And we saw a crocodile resting on the bank, and Patrick went, let's get a bit closer. I was like, okay. And we were all like in this open side, like wooden boat, and he gets a bit closer, and we're like just coasting along, and then he cuts the engine because he wants to be really quiet so we can take it all in. You listen to the sounds, be in the moment, and then the boat kind of drifts really close. We must have been meter and a half away from the bank, and we're like, look at the crocodile, there's a natural appetite. And then he saw that there was a nest, and it was guarding eggs, and just as it had cut, this crocodile, who was very quietly just laying on the bank, completely minding his own business, decided that no, enough was enough. We're a little bit too close, and he turned around and he snapped and he jumped at the boat. And there's myself and Susan who are on literally the side of where it didn't touch the boat. Of course, it didn't touch, but it kind of got to, and the whole boat went woo like that as we all jumped, going, "Oh my god, this is how we're actually going to die." My mum said, "Don't get eaten by a crocodile," and I would joked about that, but actually, this is how I'm going to die today. I'm never going to see my kids or Alan again because I've just been jumped by a crocodile. And then the engine kind of cut back straight away, and he hot-footed it off kind of into the centre of the river again. And I just laughed, going, "Yep, my mum told me so." And that is it.
God bless you, Kazza.
Yeah.
Did I call her Kazza?
You did.
Karen. Right. Okay. So let's build up to the end. So you might actually say this in this answer. Let's see. Not rehearse this. We know each other quite well. So the last question, as always on the Digital Circus Life, is if you could go back to yourself when you were young. But I'm not going to say that. We're going to say a version of that is if you could go back to yourself before you left for Malawi and say anything. Obviously, it's not as kind of, as going back to your younger self and geeing them up or telling them to invest. But what would you say to yourself before you went on the trip? Is there, if anything, there might be nothing,
I don't know fully what I would say to myself. I think definitely, and I did. The thing is, I did say yes. I said yes to the trip. It went against my gut of, oh my God, what happens with everything else? Is the business and the space here to leave? I did say yes. And I think that's something I will try and do more of moving forward as we, everything is okay when we go and do these things. And Alan, I would always encourage you, if the opportunity arose, for you to have these adventures and to say yes and do. Oh, we do. Allow myself to enjoy every so I took a long time to kind of worry about whether I was going to do the right thing. Was it going to be the right fit? Was everyone going to enjoy it? And actually just to relax on the fact that know my skill set well enough that people are enjoying the ride. And looking at everyone's faces throughout the entire trip, you could see they were getting involved. You were seeing they're getting stuck in. We've come home as a partnership and we're not finishing here. So we have finished our trip. We are chatting next week, actually. We're all coming together as a team on Zoom, and we're looking at what we can do for the future. So future growth, future plans, future fundraising, future ideas about what we can do to support the projects on the ground that we've already touched upon. So allow myself to say, actually, I'm good at what I do, and people are having a great time and are putting their weight as a team as well. Because a leader is not just about doing everything for the team, it's allowing the team to experience and to take part and to have a voice. And I felt very looked after by the incredible group that we had. And I have to say thank you to Kate for giving me the opportunity. Now, I am also very, very lucky that she's asked me to go again.
That's what I would reckon you would have said.
She's
go
asked
on,
me
do the plug in case
people,
if you're listening.
Me to go again. And I said yes. I have said yes, much to Ben's disgust.
The kids are already unhappy.
They're like, but I don't want you to go. But I have to say yes, because we've started, obviously Orbis has been around for a long time, but my little part of what I can contribute to Orbis has only just started. And I look forward to showcasing with anyone else who would like to come along with me next year. Existing members are already going, can I get a space on that team? Absolutely. But for anybody who is thinking about doing something with purpose, travel with purpose, number one, is the best way you can travel. Not only do you get to put something into something that means something, but you are seeing the country, any country that you go to. We were saying with you when you went to Jordan and you were on the ground with the Jordan team.
Very quickly, we were in Jordan, we're racing the planet, and we were setting up some stuff overnight, and we had to go. We ended up camping with some local Bedouin and some camels in a wadi. I forget. In a wadi, a dried up riverbed, and the camels were there, and it was stuck with me, and I was able to take some pictures as well when I was there. So,
but I think it's the best way to ever truly experience a country in its rawest form, to see what's actually happening on the ground, and to not just see the packaged,
which is fine. We're not dissing package holidays. They absolutely have their place.
And I hate to say, any female who wants to join me, because it is unfortunately.
It does go again.
Perhaps
perhaps that's your learning. Perhaps that is your learning. I don't want to put your learning in you, but perhaps it's the female-only things are okay.
Yeah, it is okay. But I also think men should get to experience Malawi as well.
Wow.
But for any woman who would like to come on next year, or is on the fence, or worried about the fact that their business can't stop, or their family won't survive without them, or insert any other blocker, come and have a conversation, because it's worth the time and worth the slight stress of trying to work it out. It's worth trying to fit it in, because if anything, I've just always said, say yes more. Life is far too short to say, I'll do it in a couple of years, because you don't know what's around the corner ever. And actually, it's bloody fun. And I had such an incredible, honestly, I've come home really rejuvenated. I have.
No, that's not what I was laughing at. I was laughing at, you know what my head's like. I'm over here somewhere.
And it's been really, really nice to kind of, I hate to say find myself, but have that time for just me, to be selfish about just me outside of Yellow Tuxedo, because I think there's so much more that I can now put into the business, having had that reset. It's like a digital detox kind of reset, business reset, like retreat. But yeah, have a conversation with me if you want to come. Yeah.
So, and if you are interested, feel free to DM Emily, get in contact with Emily on LinkedIn, or email hello@yellowtuxedo.co.uk, or emily@yellowtuxedo.co.uk, or drop a comment and go, wow, that sounds amazing. We want to know more. Right. That's it. Thank you for sharing that with me and with everyone else, because obviously I'd heard bits and bobs, but not everything in a really fantastic way. You did do a fabulous trip, and we all missed you lots. So welcome back. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for listening. Not thank you all. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.